Audio Jungle. Audio
Chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying,
Come and see.
And I saw, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth, conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say,
Come and see.
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say,
Come and see.
And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say,
A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say,
Come and see.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying,
How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks,
Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Chapter 6 will now start to get into earth and what is taking place. So, the events in this chapter continues from chapter 5. I'm on the first page of chapter 6. However, the activities now shift to earth. Under the seal judgment, man rules the world. Under the trumpet judgment, Satan rules the world. Under the vial or bowl judgment, God will rescue the world. Chapter 6 starts with the event spoken of by Jesus as this tired old planet get a licking under the cruel times of famine, catastrophe, and dictatorship. And we see the entrance of the most awesome period of time the world has ever known. This final 1 week of year period is decreed by God to shake man to lose his full sense of security. We now enter the very heart of the book as we just saw the environment of heaven as a scroll is in the hands of Jesus and he's about to open what is going to release upon planet Earth. Good. So let's go to chapter 6. Let's have the lights down and run 2 versions of this. So at least again, one of the things I try to do is give you plenty visual. If I give you visual, it makes it easy for you to understand. We are a generation where people have the ability to hear with their eyes. They're like Thomas. They want to hear with their eyes, they want to feel, and so on like that. So let's go to Revelation chapter. Chapter 6. Revelation, the book has been opened. As mentioned, the activities now shift to earth, and we are going to witness how the seal judgments as man rule the world. Christ is the one that breaks the seal. He opens and releases them after the church is safe in heaven. After the church is safe in heaven. In Ezekiel chapter 14 verse 21 it declares, For thus saith the Lord God, how much more when I send my 4 sword judgments upon Jerusalem, the sword, the famine, the noisome beast, and pestilence, to cut off from it man and beast. So Ezekiel identified in Ezekiel chapter 14 that there were 4 types of major judgment that will come up against the land. Alright? So very important for us to identify. Now let's quickly run through back again chapter 6 and review in terms of what is taking place with regards to this. It's a nice piece to take a look at it. In verse 2, we find the first seal indicates a worldwide conqueror or false messiah, the Antichrist. He will be the final Gentile world ruler. This horseman is not the same as the one identified in Revelation 19, where Christ will also come with a white horse. Because in this case, he's running around with a bow. Alright? He comes to conquer. He's conquering and to conquer. He is called in the book of Daniel the little horn, where he's also called a willful king. Bow with no arrows shows his aggressive warfare in diplomacy, thus creating false peace. One of the things you'll notice happening with the world powers right now is everybody is going around the world trying to produce peace and sign this treaty and sign that treaty and so on like that. So this is already, the spirit of this is already taking place. Jesus is the one that opens the scroll and releases the Antichrist. So Jesus is not one of the riders. Now, a lot of people ask me who they feel the Antichrist is. Let me just tell you this, that you cannot know at this point in time until Christ releases the person. That can only happen when all 10 world leaders are in place. Daniel talks about there will be 10 kings. So there will be 10 world leaders that will have Antichrist agenda in mind. In other words, they will be against the church and against the King of God. When those 10 are in place, only then will the 11th come out. The 11th is this particular one that we're looking at that is here. Alright? So he is a white horse rider, and he's the one that will go out indicating, or he will go out dictating or taking control of the world, conquering and to conquer using peace. In the second beast that is released, or the second scroll that is broken, we have a horse that comes out as a red horse. Yes. And what we see taking place here is that there's a declaration of war. So right after you have the sealing of peace, or making peace, they will then use the peace treaties that are there to now go and create war. The sword indicates the army, the conflict, perhaps an attack against Israel, and a lot of people indicated maybe what is recorded in Ezekiel 38 and 39 as a Gog and Magog battle. Red as a symbol, it symbolizes war or slaughter. This rider has one purpose: take peace of the earth. One purpose. Then we have the third seal that is released, and the third seal is now a black horse. This black horse is moving around with a pair of balances in his hands, and what is happening is that it is now a time of inflation or shortage. Whenever you have war, there will be shortage. So the next thing that comes is that we now have a time of great shortage that is there. And we find that people will now have to spend their entire day's salary to buy a loaf of bread. Alright? So a measure of wheat is for a penny, and a measure of, or 3 measures of barley, which is the lower value bread, is actually going to also be for a penny too as well. So we will have a worker who will work all day to buy bread. What is it when you buy a whole batch of bread, you eat some and then you give the rest to pets and so on like that? Back then you'll be looking at everything that you can go after. Now there is a declaration here on this third seal where it talks about do not hurt the oil and the wine. Do not hurt the oil and the wine. And this indicates that the effects of the famine in this early part of the tribulation, oil and wine speaks of 2 groups of people, or 2 of God's groups of people. These are the Jews. Jews are the ones that are filled with joy, or they're filled with wine. I remember Jesus went to the wedding and he turned their water into wine. So he's talking about the Jewish nation will not be directly affected by the famine. Those are the ones with the wine. The people with the oil are the anointed ones. That is us, the church. Or you will have believers, most of believers that will get left behind after the rapture. They are now saved during this early part of the tribulation period. So we know we're going to be talking about tribulation saints. And they are also protected from this particular famine because they are still anointed. Are you there with me? Alright? So the oil and the wine speaks of the anointed one and them that are filled with joy. Then we go to the 4th seal. The 4th seal, we actually see an identification or a personality of this force in the universe that is called death. Death is an event. Death is a person that greets you. When Jesus conquered death, hell, and the grave, he dealt with this fellow. Alright? And in the ending of book of Revelation, he will actually deal with him again once and for all. So the 4th seal is death, and he controls a fourth of the earth through war, famine, and pestilence. Death takes lives, and hell will follow after him as well. Now, I want to just highlight something that is here. King James uses the word pale. Pale is not ash color. It is not faded white. It is faded green. In the original language for the word pale, if you do a word search on the word pale, it is the color green or greenish. Alright? If we look at where we are in the year 2015 right now, we can clearly identify that there is a group of people on the earth that operates under the color green and controls a quarter of the earth. So that system of producing death on the earth is already in place. That may be the pool of people that will be utilized in terms of this that is taking place, controlling a quarter of the earth. Are you there with me? Alright? Very important. If death is coming, seal number 5 This is all he means that he's going to come after. Seal number 5, we see a rise in martyrdom, or a rise in slaughtering of the saints. But let me tell you this. When the rapture takes place, the goal of the church worldwide, we have about 7 billion souls on the earth right now. The goal of the church worldwide is to use 1 million people to reach 1 billion people. And hopefully you'll be able to cross a billion. So let's just assume out of 7 billion, we have a case where the Lord comes and 1 billion people is taken from off the earth. The rapture or the church being taken off the face of the earth will be the biggest evangelistic tool that will open the tribulation period. Because people who have played church, people who go cold, who backslided and so on, will realize that the things of the scripture will actually be coming to pass. And what will happen is that many of them will get saved. How do I know that? Is we have in the 5th seal, we have many of them that are going to be slaughtered, are going to be killed for the gospel. So here is the deal you have. Live holy, live right now, and you go up with your head. You live right, or you will get left behind. Are you there with me? Now, if you miss it, salvation today is free. You can go up with your head. After the rapture, it will cost you your head. It will cost you your head. So we can pick you up 7 years later, and you pick up your head. Alright, very interesting. Now, what is interesting for us again to be able to see is that again there is a group of people on the earth that is already in place with the intention to behead people or to kill people. And Jesus indicates that the day will come when they think they do God a service by killing you. Are you there with me? So, seal number 5, we see that under the altars in heaven, we have all of the people who have rejected the gospel during the church age, but have now accepted the gospel during the tribulation period, or the opening of the tribulation period. They have now accepted Christ. They are willing to die now for the gospel. Right now they have the opportunity to live for the gospel, and they don't want to do it. But when these things begin to happen, they'll now want to die for the gospel. And they'll die, and they'll remain under the altar of God until all of the other persons who are supposed to be killed will be killed in the same manner to be fulfilled. Right? That is seal number 5. Seal number 5. We have martyrdom that is taking place. White robes depicts their righteousness and right standing with God. More saints will be martyred. Such sins, there is much more tribulation to come. Much more tribulation to come. In the 6th seal, we now have a reaction in creation. Let me tell you this. If you track disasters, you will see that certain nations and certain lands are hit with disasters whenever there is an increase in the bloodshed of believers. Whenever there is an increased bloodshed in believers on the ground, there is a rapid increase in judgment to that land. For example, prior to the tsunami that hit Japan a few years ago, 3 months before that, Japan had actually executed the last 15 missionaries in that land. And when those 15 lights finally went out, a judgment came upon Japan. Do you know today, after that judgment, the Bible right now is the 6th fastest selling book in all of Japan, as the gospel has opened itself up since after the judgment. Are you there with me? We now have in the 5th seal the blood of believers and the blood of tribulation saints being poured all over the world. And now you have seal number 6 as a reaction to the pollution that is taking place in the land. There is a great earthquake. The sun goes dark, the moon goes to blood. Stars begins to fall from the heavens. The earth is shaken. The earth is ripped. The heavens roll up like a scroll. It is commotion in everything you could think about. Seal number 6. Are you there with me? Then people begins to run and hide in caves. So for many years, I always thought, yes, it's caves. I mean physical caves that are there. But I think it's also much more than that. What has happened in the last 20, 30 years, and particularly the last 5 years, A lot of nations are now boring the earth and actually making what they call underground tunnels or bunkers. There is a rapid increase of these designs because people are getting more and more aware that a major disaster is coming. And Revelation, John would not know the word bunkers, but he could know, listen, they're boring a hole in the ground. So he uses the technical word that there in terms of cage. So you'll notice that there's the kings of the earth, mighty men, captain. We're talking about leaders. Leaders of country, leaders of organizations. They are building bunkers all over the planet to be able to have the case where they can run. And we find all of them will run into dens and they will run into rocks where they will be able to hide from the face of the Lamb. For the great wrath is coming. What is the great wrath? Well, you have a lot more in terms of the tribulation period, in terms of what's coming towards them. Amen? Now, when we look at these judgments, John sees 5 that is common to Jewish culture. Number 1, there is earthquakes. This is the earth trembling at the coming of the Lord. Number 2, there is a darkening of the sun and the moon. That also shows that there is a control over light and darkness, control over seasons. There is a falling of the stars. In Jewish culture, stars represents the unchangeable things of God. And the unchangeable things of God in their culture start to change. Falling up of the heavens, the Jews are of the mind of the view that heaven is a scroll that God pulls open and he's holding it with his 2 hands. They believe that's what the heaven is like. And what is going to happen is that the scroll rolling up, God let go one side. So you'll just roll up like a scroll. So that's how they picture it in their mind. Moving of the islands and hills, let me tell you this. If the rapture take place, my advice to you is get off of Trinidad. Go down in Atlas, swim the 7 miles. Even if they jail you there, no problem, you'll survive. Because at this point in time, islands and mountains will be moved by seal number 6. And in case you don't know, rain could fall in Trinidad for half an hour, and you know what is going with regards to flood. Far less more for major earthquakes that are going to take place. We have enough fuel in Trinidad to blow us completely off the map. Alright? So if you get left behind, and if you're watching this DVD and you get left behind, get off of Trinidad for you to survive the period in time. Alright? It is a universal disaster and there is no place to hide. Like Adam and Eve, sinners seek to hide at the presence of the Lamb. The Lamb is no longer gentle and meek. He is now operating in his sphere of wrath, not to destroy, but to save his loved ones. Why? Because they are martyring them. They are martyring them. And that's the reason why we have this sort of taking place. So, let me just re-highlight verse chapter 6. Seal number 1 is a white horse rider. Seal number 2 is a black horse rider. Seal number 3 is a red horse rider. Seal number 4 is the pale or green one. Seal number 5 is global slaughter. Seal number 6 is global disaster. Alright? So very important for you to be able to pick the flow in terms of what's going on. In other words then, we only have one more seal again to deal with. Any book finish? One more seal to deal with.